Hi, we're Retirement Dreams to Reality. I'm Keely, this is Bruce, and today's video is going to be about Cunard, Queen Mary 2.
Simple things didn't know I miss until they're gone, and you feel like this, and you feel like this. So hold me close.
So this September we embarked on a 4-night cruise on Cunard's Queen Mary 2 ocean liner. This is usually a transatlantic ship. It's used mainly for transatlantic cruises, sort of 7 days from New York to Southampton and back again. But this was a 4-night one to Bruges. Now, it's classed as an ocean liner rather than a cruise ship, but I'm not really sure what the difference was. And in terms of facilities and things, as far as I was concerned, it has the same as many cruise ships. But it actually was really, really beautiful. And as you can see from the atrium, when you first walk in, it really has some of those features of an old, beautiful ship.
Hold me close.
This beautiful atrium area is also where you find the mostly shopping. All of the shops are found around the atrium area, and things like where you book your tours and the main reception. It's all of those things that you'll find around this central area as soon as you get on the ship. One of the main things that you'll probably notice about the Queen Mary 2, and I'm not sure if the other Cunard ships are the same, is all of the beautiful, beautiful artwork. Literally on every single wall, there's some lovely artwork.
You bring me home.
All of the shops were pretty much the same as lots of shops that you find on all of the cruise ships. Generally, you could buy your handbags, you could buy your makeup and your perfume, you could buy posh watches, jewellery. I think my sister bought a little bit of jewellery. So generally, the things that you expect to find on cruise ships in the shops is the things that we found on Cunard in the shops. This is the shop that seemed a little bit bigger than I'd previously seen on other cruise ships. The ones that sold the chocolate and the toiletries and the Queen Mary merchandise. So this was definitely quite a nice size shop. So as you can see, this is quite a well-stocked shop that had quite a lot of clothes and things in it. And the prices seemed pretty reasonable, pretty cruise ship prices. So what was different about this cruise is there were 3 of us in a cabin, and we were quite surprised about the Pullman bed situation. The actual bed was really, really comfortable. It was relatively easy to get on and off. And the cabin was really spacious enough for 3 adults. There was storage everywhere, even above the bed. They had like little storage cabinets that reminded me a bit of caravans. It really wasn't a problem for 3 adults.
You bring me home.
So what was the food like on Queen Mary 2? Well, the King's Court buffet is sort of the main place to go apart from main dining. And as you can see from this breakfast buffet, the breakfast was excellent. They had a meat stand, they had an egg stand, they had cold meats counter, cheeses counter, a cereal section. They had pastries and muffins. They had yogurts and granolas and breads. So the actual choice of food in the breakfast buffet was enormous. I can't imagine that anybody wouldn't have found anything to eat for breakfast. It did get quite busy at certain times, but we never struggled at all to find anywhere to sit. and we usually went probably around peak time, around 8:30. The times varied depending on whether it was sea day or not, but continental breakfast started at 6:30 most days, and breakfast was totally finished by 10 most days, I believe. There were a couple of people that occasionally got the times wrong and were turned away, but generally there was always somewhere to sit during breakfast, we found, even if it sometimes took a little while. And this main King's Court buffet, we also went back and had, I think we had about 3 lunches in the King's Court buffet. We didn't have any evening meals because we either went for main dining or had room service. But lunch was definitely, once again, really nice food, lots of it and good food. And once again, we always found somewhere to sit. So in terms of the quality of the buffet and the access to the buffet, I think it was quite acceptable. Other places that you could eat, the Corinthia Lounge was literally straight off the King's Court buffet. Now, this was one, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the main places to actually sit and relax. It was a lovely lounge area. But it also had, at the end of the Corinthia Lounge, it had a counter for food. So like a little buffet section that during breakfast had breakfast things, and later on during the day, tea time, had some tea time things. So it was a really nice, quieter place if you only wanted a pastry or a bit of fruit or some yoghurt. It was a really nice, they had smoked salmon bagels, for example. I think it was classed as the healthy option on the booklet. But generally, it was just somewhere where you could grab a bit of different food, some of the same food, some different food, and just have a quieter time. But I also saw people bring in food from the King's Court into the Corinthia Lounge. Obviously, the main place that people think of for dining is the main dining room, and on Cunard, this is called Britannia. Now, this was set over Deck 2 and Deck 3. So Deck 2 seemed to be for set dining, and Deck 3 was bookable slots for dining. Now, you could go there for breakfast, lunch and evening meal, depending on whether it was a sea day or not. It was a really nice terraced area. The food was of really nice quality and the staff were really, really good. We would definitely rate this quite highly, even though we only ate out there 3 times during the cruise. Another place where you could go was the Veranda restaurant. That was specialty dining and we never booked it. I wasn't sure, I don't know whether it got busy or not. You'd have to look at separate reviews. But there was the Veranda restaurant for separate dining.
It happens when.
So for me, one of the pluses was the amount of different spaces that Queen Mary 2 had to chill and relax, go to for entertainment, or just have a drink of alcohol or coffee. These places seem to be in abundance, even compared to other ships. So these places ranged from bars to lounges to clubs to cigar rooms, but they were across all of the ship on lots of floors. Now, they did get busy on sea days, but we always found somewhere to sit. So the Champagne Lounge, I think it does what it says on the tin. We never went in there. We're not champagne drinkers, but it was very nice. It was quite a posh, but looked comfortable, quite a comfortable place to sit to. And that sort of led on to the next lounge, which was, I think this is the one that was used mostly for quizzes. I don't know if they even had a game of bingo in there at one point, but there seemed to be a lot going on in the chart room a lot of the day. I mean, it's deathly quiet now because although it's 10 o'clock in the morning when I'm taking this video, and it's virtually empty. Whereas I've been on other ships at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's been difficult to find somewhere to sit. So it does show that there's just such a huge amount of space on Cunard Queen Mary 2 that I'm not sure any of the places ever got totally full.
I see you.
So after the chart room on the same floor is a space called Sir Samuel's. And I think we went into Sir Samuel's a couple of times. You can get coffee and cake from Sir Samuel's, but you can also get alcohol. So it's sort of a mixed bag, really. But it was a really nice space. The Golden Lion is things that people talk about quite a lot. It's the traditional English pub. Now, this was always super busy, not at 10 o'clock in the morning, as you can see. But I think one time we walked through it looking for somewhere to sit, and there was absolutely nowhere about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I know this is one that people do rave about because it's supposedly a traditional British pub.
I see you. I feel the rush out of the blue, out of the blue. So don't let go. You bring me home. You bring me home.
So then on some of the upper floors, you had the library. Now, it makes sense, doesn't it, that the bookshop was just off the library, but it was quite a well-stocked bookshop. The library was absolutely beautiful with a few little seating areas. I did actually film a little bit, but there were people just sitting quietly, so it was difficult to film the seating areas. But it was such a nice space. It's worth going in just to have a look. And you can actually, it is a full-on library. You take books out and then return them at the end of the cruise. You don't just have to read the book on the ship. You can take books out of the library. Also on some of the upper floors was the cigar lounge and the Commodore Club. The Commodore Club looked very highbrow. It was large, it was light, it was airy, because it was set right at the front or back of the ship, I'm not quite sure. Because it was set at the end of the ship, there were windows all the way around, and it was very popular. It was a lovely place, a really lovely highbrow place to chill. That's the Commodore Lounge. This was on deck 9.
It happens when I see you. I feel the rush out of the blue, out of the blue. So don't let go.
So, as hopefully you've got from this part of the video, there were so many places inside to relax and chill. Please remember, if you're enjoying this video, or even if you're not, please help by liking and subscribing. Like and subscribe. I need to say. One thing I would say about the Queen's Room is there was always something going on. So if you can't remember the schedule and you're not sure, you want to check if anything is going on, pop in there, because you might be 10 minutes before the next dance class or the ballroom dancing or some sort of entertainment. There really was so much going on in the Queen's Room during the whole 4 days for us. So on deck 3 is the Royal Court Theatre. Now, it really is a lovely traditional looking theatre, but it does have a few pillars. So quite a bit of the seating is sort of restricted or limited. When I went in there to film, I actually bumped into Christopher Biggins. He was just sussing out what he was going to do later that day, because he actually did a guest speaking slot for 3 days, which was really interesting. So I went to see him in there. Now, the theatre seats are really large and they look really comfortable, and they are for about 10 minutes. But after a while, even though they're really large, for some reason, they're not as comfortable and you will find yourself fidgeting a little bit. If you do want to go to the theatre, you don't have to book. When I went, you just have to turn up about 10-15 minutes before and you're virtually guaranteed a seat. So the gym and spa are next to each other. Really, the spa's pretty much of a muchness, same as any other cruise ship. And the gym, my husband said, was bigger than the gym on other cruise ships that we've been on. What I noticed was there was so much cardio equipment. And I did walk through there 2 or 3 times, and it was never anywhere near full. So there was never any trouble getting on any cardio equipment. But they also had a decent weightlifting section, which on first inspection looked really small. But then as you carried on going round the corner, it made me realise that for the actual weight machines, they had virtually the same amount as my council gym. But also the free weight section seemed pretty decent too. And there was just one person there when I was walking through about 10:30. So if you did want to use the gym on Cunard, I don't think you'd have any problems at all. And it had really long opening hours. I'm not even sure if the opening hours were 24 hours. But there was the sheer amount of cardio equipment meant you definitely have no trouble getting on a treadmill or a cross trainer or a bike. Now, an absolute hidden gem on the Cunard, Queen Mary 2, on deck 12, was the Pavilion Pool and Bar. It's an indoor swimming pool that I believe has a retractable roof, but nobody I spoke to was able to tell me whether the roof ever came off. But it was so hard to find. It sort of snuck behind things. And if we hadn't have actually purposely been looking for it, we never would have just stumbled across it. It was warm in there because the sun was coming through the roof. The hot tubs were absolutely lovely. The temperature was good to swim, and the bar opened at 11 o'clock. So we spent 2 out of the 4 days in the Pavilion Pool and Bar. And there was also this table tennis area, which was really well used. We never used it. We were being lazy. But quite a lot of people had a game of table tennis while they were by the pool. So it was a really nice space. So also on deck 12 and 13 were the adult pools and the children's pool. Now, as you can imagine, we didn't get the best weather in September, so we didn't actually go in the outdoor pool, but quite a few people did on the final afternoon. There was some really nice big sunbed seating area. The pool was a similar size to the pavilion pool, and there was a jacuzzi. And below that was the children's pool. It was called the kids zone, and that was supposed to be just for families, children and families to go in that pool. But there were I think I saw about 5 children the entire cruise. So whether, if it got busy, adults would be allowed in that area or not, I don't know. But there's I think the amount of pool space and outdoor space for the amount of residents, for the fact that it does short trips and transatlantic, was really good. And this is also where you find the smoking area. They've been very kind to smokers, and it's actually an undercover area. So you can have a ciggy undercover. Another hidden space was the lookout, which is literally just an enclosed space at the very, very top of the ship where you can look out. It had telescopes for you to use to look out. I wasn't even tall enough to see over the window. And as you come out of the lookout, this is where you go down a deck and you hit the shuffleboard and the pickleball court.
So hold me close, you bring me home. You bring me
One thing that we haven't really mentioned in the video was the room service. Now, there was no charge for the room service at all, and it was excellent, especially the breakfast. There was a small choice, but it was a very decent choice. The only issue we had was afternoon tea was very poor. Now, you'll see lots of videos that talk about Cunard afternoon tea. Now, afternoon tea was 3:30, and when I was in the Corinthia Lounge at about 20 to 3, there were people who left the Corinthia Lounge to go and sit ready for afternoon tea. I wasn't willing to do that. But if you want, it is supposed to be something really nice to see, and maybe check out some other videos that talk about the afternoon tea. But we didn't bother. It wasn't something that we did. Another thing that we did do is we forgot about gratuities. So in the end, for a 4-day cruise, we ended up with a $64 gratuity added on. One final thing is, because they do cater for the English and the Americans, then you are getting a kettle and coffee and tea and little biscuits in your room every day.
So you've just got back from your 4-day cruise with Cunard. Would you book with them again?
I absolutely, definitely would. There were so many things about it that I loved. So, for example, I just loved the opulence of the ship, the old luxurious feel. I suppose that's a little bit of what the difference is between a cruise ship and a cruise liner. It actually did remind me a little bit of the Titanic. I know that's probably not a good thing, but it just had that old grand feel about it.
Yeah, I saw the videos and I saw the pictures, and it looks absolutely amazing.
It's
it was
beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't find anything that I didn't like. I'm sure there were bits, but I didn't find them. Another thing that I absolutely loved was the amount of lounging spaces, how many places there were, literally just to chill. And my favourite place was the Corinthia Lounge. I actually spent quite a few hours in there by myself, just chilling, doing my Sudoku. It was really, really nice.
Yeah, that looks amazing on the videos as well.
Yeah.
I think I would have really enjoyed that. You said if
I said you would have really enjoyed the Corinthia Lounge.
Yeah.
It was quiet. It was just a really nice space,
Yeah.
And the final thing that I really enjoyed, and I think you've seen this from the videos as well, was the food.
Mm.
And I loved dressing up. There's a more formal approach, although we did only have one formal night, but I love the dressing up on Cunard. But the food everywhere was lovely. The buffet food was really good quality. The main dining was fabulous. I can't fault the food at all.
And you did room service, didn't you?
Room service was also
So why did you do
really good.
room service and not go to the buffet?
Because we'd been out all day. We'd been out all day. We were tired. We were just chilling. So we decided, and because we thought, well, we'll try it. If it's not very nice, we can go to buffet. But it was lovely and it was free. So yeah, I would absolutely, definitely go on it again.
So, was there anything that you didn't particularly like?
Yeah, there was. They wouldn't stop me going on it again. I didn't like the price of the alcohol. So a double shot of Malibu, Disaronno, something like that was $9.50, and a single shot was $6.50. I'm not a big drinker, so it's not a huge deal to me. But me and my sisters did have a bottle of wine, just a basic bottle of Zinfandel one evening, and that came to $40 for sort of the cheapest bottle of rosé that they'd got,
Right.
really. So I thought that was a little bit expensive. Not a deal breaker, but a little bit expensive. The final thing was the service charge. $16 a day. It's the gratuities. I think that's a bit expensive, $16 a day. So it came to $64 for a 4-day cruise. Would we book a cruise together on a Cunard?
I think from your experience and from what I've seen on the video, definitely.
You'd like to go try a Cunard?
It looks,
wouldn't you?
yeah, it looks pretty amazing. And I'm not put off by the kind of feel to it either. For me, it looked nicer than the P&O.
It was lovely. It was
Yeah.
really nice. We would like to try the Anne, the Elizabeth or Victoria.
Yeah,
The Anne's the newest ship. But it'll depend on itineraries, won't it?
yeah.
It'll depend on itineraries and it'll depend on cost. If it's going to be loads more than another ship, then maybe we wouldn't. But if it's a similar price, then yeah, I'd definitely like to give one of those a go. We'll have to look at the itineraries.
Yeah.
Watch this space. That's Retirement Dreams to Reality. Keely and Bruce. Thanks for watching. Now, I'm not a big drinker, so it wasn't a big deal.
I'm not a big what?
Drinker.
Sound like I said I'm not a big jinker.
No, I said I'm not a big drinker.
Right, start again.
So,